The Generals of the Yang Family Chapter 7.
We're talking about the Song dynasty, specifically the early days under a brand new emperor, Taizong. And stakes couldn't be higher. This isn't just a border skirmish.
Right.
This is an attempt to finally unify China. But as we're going to see, the biggest threat to the Song army isn't necessarily the enemy walls, it's their own internal politics.
Exactly. It's a collision of grand strategy and incredibly petty personal grievances. You have a general trying to get his subordinate killed out of spite.
Right.
A defensive commander who loses his head literally because of his ego, and a family reunion that almost turns into a massacre.
I can't wait to get to the bandit reunion because that plot twist is just delightful. But let's set the stage first. We have Emperor Taizong. He's new to the throne. What is the vibe in the Song court?
Whoa.
Because usually when a new boss takes over, they want a quick win to prove they belong there.
That is precisely the dynamic. Taizong is living in the shadow of his brother, who was the founder of the dynasty. So he needs to legitimize his rule.
Okay.
And he looks at the map and sees one stubborn red dot that just won't go away. The Northern Han.
Okay, so let's talk about the Northern Han. Who are these guys? Are they a massive empire?
No,
Yeah.
and that's the frustration. They are a small kingdom, effectively a remnant of the previous chaotic era, but they are incredibly difficult to crack because they have a big brother looking out for them. The Liao dynasty to the north, the Northern Han are essentially a client state.
So it's a proxy war situation. If you hit the little guy, the big guy comes running with the heavy cavalry.
Right. So when news breaks that Taizong is planning a massive invasion, the mood in the Northern Han court is, well, it's panic. Their ruler, Lu Jun, is terrified.
I bet.
He knows the Song army is fresh, their equipment is top tier, and they have all the momentum. He asks his advisors, are we doomed?
And he gets some advice from a strategist named Ding Yi that I found really interesting. Because usually in these stories, the advice is charge or fight to the death.
Yeah.
But Ding Yi says something different.
Ding Yi is the pragmatist. He looks at the Song army,
Right.
which is an expeditionary force. They're traveling a long way from home. And he says, we cannot beat them in a fist fight.
So their armor is too strong, their weapons are too sharp.
Exactly.
So what's the play?
The strategy is deep moats and high walls. It's a denial strategy.
Yeah.
He tells Lu Jun to clear the fields so the enemy can't forage for food, strengthen the fortifications, and just sit tight.
It sounds a little cowardly on paper, doesn't it? Just
Right.
hide.
It sounds cowardly, but it's actually weaponizing logistics. He's betting that if the Northern Han refuse to give the Song the battle they want, the Song army will burn through their supplies, soldiers will get tired, they'll get homesick, disease might spread. It's a war of attrition. You wait them out, and they eventually have to go home.
So the plan is to bore them to death. And Lu Jun buys it.
He does. He sends orders to all the border passes. Do not engage, just defend. If everyone follows this plan, the Song are walking into a quagmire.
Okay, so that's the shield. Now let's look at the sword. Back in the Song capital, Bianjing, Taizong is rallying the troops. But even there, it's not a unanimous let's go.
No, you have some voices of caution.
Yeah.
You do. A minister named Yang Guangmai stands up and essentially echoes what the enemy is thinking. He warns Taizong, their defenses are firm and complete. He suggests waiting for a crack in the armor before launching a full-scale invasion.
But then you have General Cao Bin, and he's not a wait-and-see kind of guy.
Not at all. Cao Bin is the hawk in the room. He steps up and delivers this incredibly arrogant but powerful line. He says that crushing the isolated Northern Han would be like breaking dry weeds or rotting wood.
Dry weeds and rotting wood, that is some serious confidence.
Yeah.
He's basically saying they are trash and we are elite.
Exactly. He's arguing that the power gap is so massive that the high walls strategy won't matter. The Song army is a steamroller. And of course, this is exactly what Emperor Taizong wants to hear.
It feeds the ego. So the decision is made, war. But this is where the HR nightmare I mentioned earlier kicks in.
Right.
They have to pick the leadership team for this massive invasion. And they make some choices that seem questionable.
Questionable is putting it politely. This is where the internal politics of the Song court almost derail the whole thing before it even starts. The commander-in-chief is Pan Renmai.
Okay.
Now, for the listener who doesn't know the lore, Pan Renmai is the classic antagonist of the Yang family saga.
He's the villain with a badge.
Right. He's a powerful official, but he's petty, corrupt, and holds these deep grudges against the Yang family and their allies. And unfortunately, one of the key generals for this campaign is Hu Yanzhan, who is firmly in the Yang camp.
So let's look at the org chart. Pan Renmei is the boss. Gao Huai is the vanguard, the tip of the spear.
And Huyanzan is the vice vanguard.
Which means Huyanzan relies on Pan Renmei for resources.
And Pan Renmei decides to sabotage him.
And we aren't talking about, oh, I forgot to sign your expense report, sabotage. This is life or death.
It is. Pan Renmei assigns Huyanzan a unit composed entirely of old and weak soldiers.
I just want to really picture this. Huyanzan walks out to the parade ground, expecting elite shock troops to help him storm the enemy gates. And instead, he sees what?
He sees grandfathers, men with gray hair, maybe relying on walking sticks, guys who should be retired or working in the kitchen. These are not combat troops.
And the vanguard has the hardest job, right? It's not just fighting.
That's the critical point. The vanguard is the engineering corps. They have to chop down forests to clear roads. They have to build bridges over rivers. They have to fill in moats. It is back-breaking physical labor.
So by giving him weak troops,
Pan Renmei isn't just making it hard to fight. He's making it impossible to march.
he's setting him up to fail. If Huyanzan can't build the bridge in time, the army stops, and Pan Renmei can execute him for incompetence. It's a trap.
A bureaucratic assassination attempt. But, luckily for the Song War effort, there is an adult in the room, Gao Huaide.
I love how Gao Huaide handles this. He doesn't scream and shout. He doesn't appeal to fairness.
No.
He appeals to Pan Renmei's survival instinct.
He does. He pulls Pan Renmei aside and just uses logic. He says, look, the vanguard has to open roads through the mountains. If these old soldiers can't lift the logs and the army gets stuck, who is the emperor going to blame?
That's the key. He flips it. He says, if Huyanzan fails, you look like an idiot, Commander.
Exactly. And Pan Renmei realizes he's cutting off his nose to spite his face. So he grumbles, but he agrees to a compromise.
They shuffle the deck.
They take the elite troops and split them among the junior generals. The old and weak soldiers get moved to the rear guard, where they can actually be useful guarding supplies, and Huyanzan finally gets a unit of capable fighters.
So crisis averted, but only just. The army marches out. And I want to mention one strategic move Taizong makes here that shows he's actually quite sharp.
Yeah.
He sends a general named Guo Jin to Shilling Pass.
This is crucial context. Remember the Liao dynasty we talked about?
Mm-hmm.
The big brother.
Right.
Taizong knows that the moment he attacks the Northern Han, they will scream for help. Shilling Pass is the geographical choke point. It's the doorway that the Liao armies would have to march through.
So by sending a general to block Shilling Pass, he's locking the door.
He is isolating the battlefield.
Yeah.
He's ensuring that this remains a one-on-one fight between the Song and the Northern Han. It's a very, very smart move.
Okay, so the board is set, the army is moving, and this brings us to one of the most bizarre and entertaining moments in the text, the incident at Waizu.
The bandit reunion. This plays out like a sitcom sketch, written by a military historian.
So Huizan is scouting ahead, he's tense, he's ready for war, and suddenly he runs into an army blocking the road. But they aren't Northern Han troops.
No, they are bandits, or at least a local militia. Huyanzan rides out to challenge them, demanding to know who dares block the emperor's path. He looks at the leaders, and he realizes he knows them.
It's his friends. It's Li Jianzong, Gang Liang, and my personal favorite, his wife, Lady Ma, the Golden Head.
It's his entire inner circle. But they are dressed for battle, weapons drawn. Huyanzan is completely confused. He asks, why aren't you back at the mountain stronghold? What are you doing here?
And Lady Ma's answer is just perfect. She says, we heard you were dead.
Right. Rumors travel fast and inaccurately in the 10th century. She heard a rumor that Huyanzan had been executed by the Song court for some crime.
So, being the loyal and extremely violent people they are, they decided to do something about it.
They gathered their forces, came down from the mountain, and blocked the main road. Their plan was to ambush the Song army and kill whoever murdered Huyanzan to avenge him.
The irony is incredible. They are there to avenge Huyanzan by attacking the vanguard.
Which is led by Huyanzan.
Right. If he hadn't been in the front to recognize them, it could have been a disaster. They might have attacked their own friend.
Imagine that conversation. Take that, you murderer! Honey, it's me. It really highlights the chaos of the era.
It really does. But once the confusion clears, there's a lot of relief. However, there is still a problem. Technically, these people are bandits who just impeded an imperial army. That is usually a beheading offense.
But Gao Huaide steps in again. He sees opportunity where others see treason.
He's such a pragmatist.
He is. He looks at Lady Ma, who is clearly a fierce warrior, and he looks at her retinue, and he thinks, we are going to war. Why kill these capable fighters when we can hire them?
He recruits them on the spot. He frames it as fate.
And he takes them to Emperor Taizong. Now, you might think an emperor would be snobby about hiring bandits, but Taizong is focused on one thing: victory.
He gives them jobs.
Because he appoints them as training commissioners. It's basically a battlefield promotion. He promises them official titles after the war is over.
It shows a surprising amount of meritocracy. Taizong doesn't care about their pedigree or their criminal record.
No.
He cares that they can swing a sword.
Precisely. Talent was valued over protocol when the stakes were this high. So now, the Song army is even stronger. They have overcome the internal sabotage, they've picked up unexpected reinforcements, and they finally arrive at the first real obstacle: Tianjin Pass.
This is where the rubber meets the road. We're finally going to see if the Northern Han strategy of deep moats and high walls actually holds up.
The defender at Tianjin Pass is a general named Xiao Sui, known as the Iron Spear. He has a fearsome reputation. The text says 10,000 men cannot withstand him.
So he's a tank. But remember, his orders are very specific. Do not fight.
Stay inside.
Right. And his deputy, a man named Wang Wen, reminds him of this.
He does. Wang Wen looks at the massive Song army assembling outside and says, "Boss, the king said to wait. Let's stick to the plan. We defend, we wait for reinforcements, we starve them out."
That is the smart play. It's the safe play. But Xiao Sui is looking at those Song troops, and he's seeing something else.
He's seeing glory. He argues that the Song troops have marched a long way and must be tired. He says, if I strike now, I can crush them while they're exhausted. Why should I wait for help?
It's the classic I know better than headquarters moment.
It's pure ego. He wants to be the hero who stopped the invasion single-handedly. So he ignores the orders, he opens the gates, and leads his army out to face the Song.
And who is waiting for him? Our man Huyanzan with his newly acquired capable soldiers.
They meet on the battlefield, and we get the classic duel setup: Huyanzan versus Xiao Sui.
The text says they fight for 30 rounds. I want to unpack that because it sounds like a stat from a video game. What does that actually look like?
It means it's a grueling stalemate. In these novels, if there is a skill gap, the fight is over in 1 or 2 passes. 30 rounds means they are charging, clashing weapons, circling back, and doing it again 30 times. They are evenly matched.
In strength and skill.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Neither can break the other's defense.
And this is where Huyanzan shows he's not just a brawler, he's a tactician. He realizes he can't win by brute force.
So he changes the game.
Yeah.
He uses a feint. He pretends to lose. He turns his horse around and starts riding back toward his own lines, acting like he's fleeing in panic.
Now, pause here. If Xiao Sui had been disciplined, if he had been thinking about the high wall strategy, what should he have done right now?
He should have let him go. He should have cheered, turned his horse around, and gone back inside the fortress. If he does that, he wins. He defended the pass. He survives.
But he doesn't.
No. The red mist descends. He sees his enemy running and he gets greedy. He thinks, I've got him. He breaks his formation. He leaves the safety of his lines and chases Huyanzan alone.
And that's the trap.
Huyanzan waits. He listens to the hoofbeats behind him. When Xiao Sui is close, probably fully extended, raising that iron spear to strike, Huyanzan spins around. The text says he gives a great shout to startle the enemy, and he captures Xiao Sui alive, dragging him right out of the saddle.
That is humiliating. 1 minute you're the hunter, chasing down a fleeing coward, and the next minute you're tied up like a bundle of firewood on the back of his horse.
And the moment their leader is captured, the Northern Han army collapses. They panic. The Song army, led by Gao Huid, floods into the gap. The pass falls.
And poor Wang Wen, the deputy who gave the good advice.
He runs for his life. He knows it's over.
So Huyanzan brings the captured Xiao Sui to Emperor Taizong. Now, we just saw Taizong hire a bunch of bandits. Xiao Sui is a famous warrior. Does he get a job offer?
He does not. Taizong looks at him and calls him a useless, rebellious subject. He orders him beheaded immediately.
That feels harsh. I mean, the bandits were actually trying to ambush the emperor's army. Why do they get badges and Xiao Sui gets the axe?
I think it comes down to competence and obedience. The bandits were loyal to their own code and showed initiative that worked. Xiao Sui failed because of arrogance.
Right.
He had one job: defend the pass, and he threw it away because he couldn't control his ego. He ignored his king's orders and lost a strategic fortification. To Taizong, that's not a useful asset. That's a liability.
That is a brutal lesson in accountability.
It is. And with Xiao Sui dead and the pass taken, the road to the Northern Han capital is now wide open. The high wall strategy has failed at the first hurdle. Okay, so I want you to picture a classic, Hollywood-style military siege. You've got the stone walls, the banners, the drums. And when you think about who's making the big, decisive moves on that battlefield, who do you see?
It's almost always the stoic male general, right?
Yeah.
The great man of history, stroking his beard, moving little pieces on the map.
Exactly. That's the image. But today, we are going to flip their whole idea on its head.
Yeah, we are.
We're digging into a military campaign where the men might be holding the spears, but they are absolutely not the ones holding the map.
Because it's not just about brute force, it's a masterclass in psychological warfare. We're unpacking the battle for a city called Zizu.
Zizu. Oh.
And what I find so fascinating here is the rivalry. You have this tiger general on one side, but the real tactical brilliance, I mean, the real 4D chess, it comes from the wives of the commanders.
It's like a proxy war between the spouses.
I love that. So how a siege is won, not by who hits the hardest, but by who can play on the other side's ego the best.
Let's do it. Let's set the board. So on the offensive, you've got the Song Dynasty army. The text says they're cleaning up the 6 directions.
That sounds incredibly efficient, like a cosmic vacuum cleaner for kingdoms.
It basically is. They are rolling up to Zizu with a ton of momentum, and leading the charge is Huyanzan,
The tiger general.
the Tiger General. He has this terrifying reputation. He's aggressive, he's famous, and he absolutely expects to win.
So they're confident.
Maybe a little too confident.
Oh, definitely. And in this kind of literature, overconfidence is almost always the first sin of warfare. They see the city as just another domino.
Okay, so that's the hammer. What about the anvil? Inside Zizu, you've got the defenders.
And right away, there's this clash of personalities. You've got the main defender, Yuan Zili, and his vice general, a guy named Wu Chang.
And they are not on the same page.
Not at all. It's that classic old guard versus young Turk thing. Yuan Zili, the commander, he's pragmatic. He knows who Huyanzan is, respects the reputation. He knows this isn't someone you just brawl with.
So he wants to play it safe.
Exactly. He suggests a strategy the text calls tiring out the teacher.
Tire out the teacher. I love that. What does that mean in a military sense?
It's basically a war of attrition. The teacher is the invading army. You use your high walls and deep moats, you stay safe, and you just refuse to fight.
You let them burn through their supplies?
You let them get tired, frustrated, bored. You wait for their morale to break. It isn't glamorous, but it is very, very effective.
It's smart. But Vice General Wu Chang, he is not a fan of this plan.
He hates it. Wu Chang has that dangerous mix of, ambition and ignorance. He sees caution, and he thinks it's cowardice.
Right.
He's like, look, we've got strong soldiers, heavy armor. Why are we hiding? Let me go out there and crush them.
It feels like he's taking the whole thing personally. Like staying behind the walls is an insult to his ego.
That's it, exactly. And in this story, when a character lets their ego drive, a crash is usually just around the corner. He basically bullies his commander into letting him fight.
So he gets his troops.
5,000 of them. He rides at the east gate, lines up his formation, and Huyanzan is just there waiting.
And Huyanzan could just attack, but he doesn't. He tries to talk him down first.
He does. He gives him an out. He tells him, you guys are like fish swimming in a pot. You're going to be cooked any minute. Why not just surrender?
Fish swimming in a pot. That's such a great image. You think you're fine, but the water is heating up and you don't even know you're already dinner.
Exactly. It's inevitable. But Wu Chang doesn't see himself as the fish. He gets furious. The text says he dances his sword and just attacks.
How does that go for him?
Catastrophically. The Song army just charges with this overwhelming force, and Wu Chang's army panics almost instantly. It's a rout, not a battle.
So he realizes he's made a huge mistake. He turns to run, but, and this is the interesting part to me, he doesn't run back into the city, does he?
No. And that's the critical error. He's too ashamed. He just told his boss, I got this. He can't go back and admit he was wrong.
He'd rather die out there than lose face.
Pretty much. So he tries to escape via the fen stream, but Huyanzan is right on his tail screaming, Thief General, don't run.
And then we get this almost slow motion moment. Wu Chang is panicking. He pulls his bow, turns around in the saddle to fire an arrow.
The famous Parthian shot, super difficult to pull off.
And he misses. Huyanzan dodges. But because Wu Chang is looking backward to aim, he isn't watching where he's going.
He loses all situational awareness, and he rides his horse straight into a marsh, a mud pit.
Oh, no.
The horse gets stuck, he gets stuck, and that's it. Chase over.
Wow. It's almost a comedy of errors. Arrogance leads to a bad fight, shame leads to a bad escape plan, and then a lack of focus gets you stuck in the mud.
And the consequences are pretty severe. He's captured and executed, but the damage to Zizu is even worse.
Right, because he lost all those troops.
A huge chunk of the city's defense is just gone. Morale is shattered, and Yuan Zili is back in the city in a full-blown panic.
He realizes the Tiger General is the real deal.
Exactly. He says the city is like eyebrows on fire.
Eyebrows on fire. I'm stealing that. That's a fantastic phrase for urgency.
It really is. It's immediate. It's right in your face. He has no idea what to do. And that is the moment where the story just completely pivots.
Because a new character steps out. Yuan Zili's wife, Zheng Shi.
Yes. And her introduction is, well, it's striking. The text is not subtle about her appearance. Well, just comes right out and calls her very ugly. It even gives her this nickname, the Ghost-Face Lady, Guimion Fu Ren.
The Ghost-Face Lady. That's harsh. But right after that, the text flips and talks about her skills.
Immediately. And this is so crucial. It says she has a body full of martial arts skills and that 10,000 men cannot get near her.
So it's a weird juxtaposition.
It is. In this genre, ugliness can signify power or danger or something almost supernatural. She isn't there to be admired. She is there to be feared.
And she definitely takes charge. She sees her husband freaking out and basically tells him to get it together.
She says, calm down, I have a plan. And her plan is all about psychology. She knows the Song army is riding high after that easy win. They're feeling arrogant.
So she's going to use that against them.
She proposes a feigned defeat, the classic bait and switch.
Okay.
She tells her husband to go out, challenge Huiyenzan, fight for a bit, and then pretend to lose and run away.
To lure him into a trap.
Precisely. So the next day, Yuan Zili rides out, yells, I'm here to avenge Wu Chang. They fight for about 20 rounds, and then Yuan Zili turns and runs.
And Huiyenzan takes the bait.
Hook, line, and sinker. He thinks, oh, here we go again, another coward. He and his subordinate, Zhu Xing, chase right after him.
But this time, they're not chasing him into a swamp. They're being led right into the Ghost-Face Lady's kill zone.
They get near the woods, and then boom, a signal cannon fires. The text says the sound pierced the mountains and rivers.
That's the signal.
And Zheng Shi's troops just rise up out of the bushes. 1,000 crossbows fire at once.
Imagine that. You're at a full gallop and suddenly the forest just explodes with arrows.
Total nightmare. Your momentum is gone. Huiyenzan realizes he's been tricked. He tries to pull back, but his path is blocked. And who steps out?
The Ghost-Face Lady herself.
The Ghost-Face Lady. And the fight is shockingly short. She doesn't just hold her own, she dominates him. She stabs Huiyenzan in the left arm.
She wounds the Tiger General. That's a huge deal.
It's a massive humiliation for him. He barely fights his way out. But his subordinate, Zhu Xing, isn't as lucky. While Huiyenzan is escaping, Yuan Zili turns around and just cuts Zhu Xing down.
What a reversal. So the Song army is retreating, their commander is wounded, and they've lost a general.
All because they underestimated the woman in charge. Zheng Shi played them perfectly.
At this point, I'm betting on Zizu. The Song army is reeling. But the story isn't over, is it? Because Huiyenzan isn't the only one with a smart partner.
Exactly. Enter Ma Shi, Huiyenzan's wife.
So Huiyenzan gets back to camp. He's bleeding, he's furious, and he's complaining to his wife. And he admits something pretty incredible.
He does. He says Yuan Zili isn't scary, but his wife, her spear skills are as good as mine.
Wow, that's high praise from a guy like him. He's stumped.
He is. He's ready to just settle in for a long, ugly siege. Right. And this is where Ma Shi steps up. If Zheng Shi is a tactical genius, Ma Shi is a grand strategist.
Okay.
She just looks at the situation and says, don't worry, her little ambush trick, that only works once.
So cool and collected. She's analyzing the enemy's playbook while her husband is, bleeding all over the tent.
And she understands that Zheng Shi's victory created a new vulnerability for them. Arrogance.
The pendulum swings back. Now the defenders are the overconfident ones, so what's Ma Shi's plan?
She tells Huiyenzan to have the army stand down.
Stand down.
She wants them to play dead. She says, let's spread a rumor that your injury is really severe, that you're dying, or at least out of commission.
Okay, so feign weakness. Make them think the head of the snake is gone.
Exactly. But then she adds this brilliant little detail to sell the lie. She orders the old and weak soldiers to go down to the Fen stream and just wash their horses.
Wash horses? That sounds so random.
But that's the point. She tells them, take off your armor, be leisurely, look like you're just packing up to go home.
So it sends a visual signal of defeat. The general's hurt, the campaign is over, we're leaving. That's brilliant.
It is. She knows that if Zhang Shi and Yuan Zili see that, they won't just want to defend. They'll get greedy. They'll want to finish the job.
So the trap is create this false sense of security while you hide your elite troops somewhere else.
She hides them on the high ground east of the city. Ma Shi is betting everything on the defenders, making the exact same mistake her army made at the beginning. It's psychological mirroring.
And do they fall for it?
They absolutely do. Scouts report back. The Song army is relaxed. They're washing horses. Hu Yanzan is out. And Yuan Jili runs to his wife.
Does Zhang Shi see through it? She set the first trap. She should know one when she sees one.
Surprisingly, no. And I think this speaks to that theme of, the cycle of hubris. Victory blinds you. She says, he took a spear to the arm. If he's out, their army is leaderless. We should attack now and destroy them.
She falls for it.
She gives the green light. Yuan Shili takes 7,000 troops and charges out of the south gate.
And the Song troops retreat without a fight, drawing him in.
Just as planned, he pushes deep into their center, thinking he's winning.
But he's actually walking right into a pocket.
Right. Suddenly, another Song general, Ga Huaid, intercepts him, and as they're fighting, the worst possible news arrives from the rear.
Sir, the Song army has breached the east gate.
Ma Shi and Hu Yanzan, who's supposed to be in bed, have launched their real attack on the city while the main defending force is gone.
Checkmate. Yuan Zili realizes he's lost his home base. He turns to run back, and guess who's waiting for him?
The man who's supposed to be dying, Hu Yanzan.
I love this reveal. He just pops up, totally fine, and yells, "Thief General, stop."
Yuan Zili is just terrified. The psychological shock is too much. He doesn't even fight, he just tries to run. And Hu Yanzan catches him and hits him with his gold whip.
Now, a gold whip, is that like a real whip?
No, it's actually a hard metal rod, almost like a mace or a truncheon. It's a bludgeoning weapon designed to break armor. And bones.
Ouch. Yeah, that's way more painful.
It is. He knocks Yuan Zili right off his horse. Kills him on the spot.
Brutal. But what about the ghost face lady? What happens to Zhang Shi?
She doesn't give up. She fights her way to the east gate, but she runs right into her counterpart, Ma Shi.
The Battle of the Wives. This is the main event.
It is. The text says they greatly killed for a while, but Ma Shi has the momentum, the numbers. Ma Shi wins the engagement. Zhang Shi's forces are just decimated.
Does she die?
No, she actually escapes. She breaks out with a few hundred riders and flees to a place called Fengzhou.
So she lives to fight another day.
She does, but Zhou falls. The Song forces take the city and report the victory. Mission accomplished.